A record profit for 2022 of almost $40 billion on the back of surging oil and liquefied natural gas prices. Well, Shell reported adjusted earnings for the year of $39.87 billion. That was up from $19.29 billion during 2021. Well, the previous record was $31 billion, which was achieved in 2008. The company said that during the final 3 months of last year, it paid $1.9 billion in windfall taxes to the EU and the UK government. The results are the first to be announced since Wael Sawan became chief executive at the beginning of the year, succeeding Ben van Beurden, who'd been chief executive since 2014. He said that the company is planning to invest capital into greener options for the future. This is what he...
Roughly a third, if not slightly more than a third, is going into areas like renewables, and we continue to focus those investments in areas where we can see returns. At the end of the day, that balance of capital investment in our business, along with rewarding our shareholders, especially during a strong macro, and continuing to deleverage in a world of continued uncertainty and volatility, we think is the right way to be able to steward the company over the coming years.
And we'll be discussing Shell's results further in the programme later on. In the meantime, the Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee is widely expected to raise the cost of borrowing again later today. It will be the 10th consecutive increase in bank rate since the Monetary Policy Committee began tightening monetary policy in December 2021. Bank rate is expected to rise from 3.5% to 4%. Well, joining me now is Charlie White-Thompson. He's Chief Executive of the online trading and investment specialist Saxo. Charlie, good to see you this morning.
Nice to see you.
Half a point nailed on?
I think so. I think we'll see 50 basis points. And a bit like last night with the US, I think the thing I'm really interested in is the outlook statement and to see how the split has developed between Dingara and Chenryo. We saw those two basically say that they didn't want to move last time. I'd like to see whether anyone else would join them.
Yeah, which is just astonishing. I mean, inflation is running at 5 times the Bank of England's target rate. How can they possibly say there's no need for further rate rises?
I agree with you. I mean, when, it's 10.5% is the inflation growth in the UK, and as you say, the target's 2%. So I would like to really understand what figures they're seeing, which would encourage them to take the foot off raising rates, which, as we know, is a blunt weapon.
I mean, you mentioned the Federal Reserve last night. I mean, they raised their policy rate by 1/4%, which was a real slowdown because last year they had 4 consecutive 3/4 point rises. Is there a case for the Bank of England moderating the pace this time around?
I don't think so. I think that the way I like to describe this is land the plane in the middle of the runway, deliver 50 basis points. That will then take us to 4%. And then I think the real debate is about, where is peak rates? And at the moment, consensus is around 4.50%. And then you have a follow-on question, when do you think rates will start to come back down again? But I think that those two things are too early to discuss. The aim of the game now is inflation is enemy number one, and we need to deal with that.
Absolutely. But would you not be worried, though, about rising corporate insolvencies on the back of this? I mean, clearly this is going to be it's bad enough for households, but there are a lot of businesses in a really parlous state.
I think it's a very difficult act that the Bank of England have to do. I call it choreography, or threading that needle. And it's how you raise rates, slow the economy without crashing the economy and the consumer. And as we get more towards peak rates, that finessing becomes even more challenging.
I mean, obviously, the doves on the MPC will say, well, hang on, inflation is going to come down anyway due to so-called base effects as we get past these sort of annualising effects of this previously spikes in commodities or whatever. I mean, is there a case for saying, let's just wait and see?
I don't think so. And I think if you think about the United Kingdom's inflation, so inflation is a global issue, but I think that the United Kingdom's inflation is more virulent than other countries. And what I mean by that is there are 3 parts. So we have the energy prices, which are coming down, but still at a high level. The second part is we have a very tight labour market. And one of the reasons we have a very tight labour market, and we see that red hot salaries, is because post-Brexit, many people chose not to come back to the United Kingdom. And we haven't had so many people return to work as other countries. And then the third leg is about the dislocation that we're seeing with our main suppliers in Europe and in the rest of the world. And I think that Hugh Pill, who is the economist of the Bank of England, sums it up very nicely to say that we have those 2 additional parts which other countries perhaps don't have.
Absolutely. And of course, China's reopening is going to inject further inflation, I guess.
Yes. And
Carry on.
I think at Davos you saw, so we've had a lot of optimism this year. So we've had very strong stock markets in Europe and in America. We've seen energy prices coming down. We've seen China adjusting their approach to zero COVID. So there's a lot of optimism in there. And I would slightly temper that. I would say that we have some way to go in the United Kingdom. If I look at our 3 or 4 key financial health statistics versus the European Union and many of our other competitors, and this is where I slightly disagree with the Chancellor, is that that if it's current account deficit, budget deficits, inflation, cost of borrowing, all of these, we don't compare so well.
Yeah. And we should, I've got to leave it there, Charlie, we should also not forget, we get a rate rise probably from the European Central Bank today as well.
50 points as well.
Absolutely. Charlie, good to see you as ever.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Now, one of the sectors most likely to be affected by an increase in interest rates today is the retail sector, reflecting the pressure it would put on the ability of consumers to spend. But recent trading updates from the sector have been encouraging, with the likes of Next, Frasers Group, JD Sports, Tesco and Sainsbury all enjoying better Christmases than expected. So what does 2023 hold for the sector? Well, the business services giant PwC is sharing its thoughts with clients today with its annual retail outlook. Well, joining me now is PwC's leader for industry for consumer markets, Lisa Hooker. Lisa, welcome to you. You're cautiously optimistic about the year ahead. Why's that?
Well, we're not naive that at the moment there is a squeeze on income and, Christmas was better than expected, so there might be a credit card hangover and people are saying they're going to spend less. But as the year progresses, and we've heard that inflation is expected to come down, we do expect to see a bit more of recovery in spend in the second half of the year. So people have just got to hold their nerve in the first half, and we think things will look better going forward.
Clearly, it's been obvious for some of the trading updates we've had recently from tour operators and some of the airlines. They're seeing fantastic demand right now. Is that going to take money away from the retail sector?
It will. I mean, we're seeing quite a polarisation of people who have money and have not. So we're seeing the younger people very much being quite positive about their outlook and wanting to spend on going out. And some of the older generations who've actually got money in their pocket and COVID savings are really keen to travel. So those two areas will take money away from retail. For the core of people, retail will be still really important because the thing they're going to prioritise in terms of spending is going to be grocery, pets, children, and health and well-being. So there will be a bit of switching, but there's also a lot of people that are really going to just focus on the basics.
In terms of how retailers respond, because they're obviously still seeing cost inflation, which they have to try and pass on or either absorb themselves. I mean, I'm interested today that you say cutting costs is not really the solution for this.
The thing is, what do you want to do? You're in a sort of a difficult flat market for spending, so you really want to take share of wallet. And if you cut back costs and you don't engage with your consumer and you don't invest in your product and also how consumers are evolving and shopping in the future, you're going to damage your brand and business long term. So we do think it's really, really important to invest through the cycle to be able to adapt your business model for emerging trends, either organically or inorganically through things like M&A.
Now, the real hot topic of conversation with most economists right now is China reopening. Is that going to alleviate some of the global supply chain issues and disruptions that retailers, among others, have been suffering?
Yeah, we've already seen that on the run up to Christmas. We really did see an easing of the supply chain issues and the stockouts that we saw last year. So we saw a real benefit. There was much better availability, and that will continue in terms of 2023. The other good thing about China reopening is that actually tourism is really important to the retail market, as they are big shoppers, particularly in the luxury space. So the combination of that will actually be very positive for the retail sector.
Now, obviously, there's talk of recession in the air, Lisa. I mean, if I think back to past recessions, it's obviously created a lot of opportunities. I mean, I think, for example, the early 1990s, I mean, the Tesco that we know today was very much created during that recession.
Yes, I mean, in terms of actually, if you look at people buying and selling companies, some of the best deals were done through the last recession. And I think what we are seeing is a lot of the stronger corporates are buying up the weaker brands to provide a platform for these brands. Because when you've got squeezed margins and cost inflation, actually, you need to come together to share those fixed costs. So you saw Tesco the other day buy Paperchase, you saw Next buy Jaws, and I think you'll continue to see some of the stronger players supporting the players that are struggling, either through buying or providing their platform as a way to get to the consumer.
All right, Lisa, we have to leave it there. Good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some other news now, and BT has reported a bigger than expected drop in sales for the final 3 months of the year. BT's sales came in at £5.2 billion. That was down 3% on the final 3 months of 2021, reflecting lower mobile equipment sales in its consumer division and the hiving off of BT Sport into a separate joint venture. Well, BT's enterprise and global units, which serve business customers, also saw a drop in sales, but BT's underlying earnings during the quarter rose by 2% to £2 billion. The shares have had an interesting morning. They fell by 3% at the open. They've since rallied after the company reaffirmed its earnings guidance for the year. And the Spanish banking giant Santander has become the latest lender to set aside more money to cover a potential increase in bad debts. Santander, which is the second largest bank in the Eurozone by stock market value, set aside €3 billion during the final 3 months of the year and indicated it would raise provisions again during the current quarter. Well, the news came as Santander reported a profit of €9.6 billion for the year. That was up 18% on 2021 and a record for the lender. In the UK, however, pre-tax profits rose by just 2% to £1.89 billion as the bank set aside £321 million to cover potential doubtful loans. Well, the bank, which is the UK's second biggest mortgage lender, said it expects house prices this year to fall to 2021 levels. And Heathrow Airport says its chief executive, John Holland-Kaye, will step down later this year after 9 years in charge. Regular on this programme, of course. The airport said the board would like to thank John for his exceptional leadership since 2014, building a strong management team, developing a consumer-focused culture, improving cost efficiency and putting Heathrow at the forefront of global aviation's decarbonisation. Well, last night saw the latest Samsung Unpacked, the big half-yearly reveal of the Korean electronic giant's latest gadgets. Among those unveiled were the Galaxy Book 3 series, which is the latest version of the company's flagship PC, and the Samsung Galaxy S23 series, which is the latest version of the company's smartphone. It's just commissioned the film director Sir Ridley Scott to make a film using the latter. Well, joining me now is the Vice President and Head of the MX division at Samsung UK and Ireland, James Kitto. James, welcome to you. I know you don't like talking about that big American company, the one with the fruity name, but I mean, how does this keep you ahead of them?
Well, innovation's in our DNA, and Samsung is all about bringing the latest innovations to market. We've been doing it for years, and kind of typically where we lead, others follow. We invented the folding phone many years ago now, and we've been iterating and bringing latest versions of that to market. And as you say, last night we brought to market the S23, the entire range of the S23, which again brings amazing innovation, particularly around camera. And as you mentioned, Ridley Scott there using this camera to create a pro-grade movie, one of his fantastic movies for us, just showcases what you can now do with the mobile technology on offer.
The most expensive model in the series is £1,400. I mean, that doesn't scream cost of living crisis to me.
Well, it's really interesting, actually. We're seeing, obviously, we've got fantastic technology inside these products. We've got an incredible camera setup, as I said, that allows you to do things that never really been possible before on a mobile phone. But we're also supporting our customers. We're cognizant of the market economic conditions. We also see an incredibly robust demand for the premium market, actually, here in the UK. We've seen the volumes in the premium market outstrip those of the low end of the market last year, and that continues to grow. So we are serving the demands and the needs of our customers. We're also offering solutions to help with affordability, particularly around trade-in, to make sure that actually you get great value for your old phone. You bring that phone back into market, put that money towards the new product, but also we make sure that that old product is recycled ethically and put to good use, or to be recycled, to ensure that we are doing our bit for the wider impact on society as well.
What's happened to the replacement cycle? Are people upgrading their phones as often as they used to?
It's about a 2.5 to 3 year cycle at the moment. It has elongated ever so slightly. Look, we're about making sure we give you a product that lasts, right? Whether you want to keep it for 3 or 4 years, we want to ensure you have great software updates, it's secure, and ultimately the product is built to last with great camera, great tech, and of course great battery life to ensure that you can continue using it over that time. We want customers to choose when to upgrade, not the other way around. So we've seen it slightly elongate, and that's fine. We're making sure customers have that choice.
You mentioned the camera technology in the new ranges particular. How important is that to consumers? I mean, you never see anyone with a real camera anymore.
It's the number one decision factor. When we talk to consumers and take their feedback into how we build the latest iteration, it is absolutely critical for them. They want great photography when they need it most. And that is, of course, when you're capturing a selfie or a group group shot, normally in low light conditions, in a pub, in a bar, at a gig. And so you want to make the first shot count. And that's what Samsung users do. They're always the one that we're saying, can you share that with me? Because invariably your friends in your social group and mine are the ones with the Samsung camera that's taking the best shots.
I mentioned there the pricing. I mean, it feels almost routine these days that when someone does buy a new phone, that they are going to drop £1,000 on it. Is that the way things are going to be in future in this industry?
It is that part of the market that is growing. It is that part of the market and the consumer demand on us that is ensuring that we're giving great value for those customers at that price point. And we ensure that we give you both great memory on the product. We don't want you running out. We're giving you much more memory than our competition would give you for our entry products. And we're giving you the opportunity of choice through the range as well. There are 3 products in the range, and they don't all start at that price point. There's an entry point and a price point for everybody. But you're right, the demand in the market, particularly here in the UK, is for that top end because people realise the value that this technology can give them alongside 5G connectivity.
Now, obviously a key component in the semiconductors that power these devices is lithium. I mean, globally it's running out, supplies are getting more scarce, and of course it has a pretty damaging environmental impact. Are there ever going to be an alternative to lithium use?
I think what we are committed to at a global level is our core sustainability promises. We made very big commitments last year for our net zero commitment for 2030 and then for a wider Samsung business towards 2050. So we are on a path towards doing our bit for sustainability. Our mission statement here is everyday sustainability. That is ensuring that tomorrow we are more sustainable than in the past. And that includes ensuring that we recycle our products and we use recycled materials in our products. We're doing that, and we continue to do more of that in the future than we've done in the past. So that has to be a good step forward.
And these semiconductor shortages with which numerous industries were grappling last year, are they at an end now?
We're a big part of the semiconductor businesses globally, and look, from a supply point of view, we are placed well to deliver against the demands we're seeing. We came to market last night. The data is already looking really strong. We're excited about how this one's going to go, and we have no supply shortages to be talked of. So yeah, we're really excited.
All right, James, got to leave it there. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Still to come here on Ian King Live, we'll have a look at how global markets are doing this Thursday morning. Stay with us.
I'm David Blevins and I'm Sky's Senior Ireland Correspondent. I'm based in Belfast, a city transformed by peace but still struggling with its past. Politically, the two sides are as far apart as ever, and it's over that question of who has sovereignty in Northern Ireland. It's been the source of tension here for generations. It takes 60 minutes to cross the Irish Sea. It took the British monarchy a century. I've spent 25 years reporting the journey from conflict to peace.
The political parties of Northern Ireland have reached agreement.
We help you understand the world with us.
Today, we have reached an agreement with the Conservative Party on support for government in Parliament.
We already know what the government gets out of this deal. What exactly does the DUP get out of it? Well, £1.5 billion. Welcome to Winterfell. It's an iconic location in this globally acclaimed drama. Ophelia was the most powerful hurricane this far east in the Atlantic on record. You can't live in a place like this and not appreciate the environment.
Well, Well, the US dollar fell last night following the latest interest rate rise from the US Federal Reserve. In his press conference afterwards, comments from the Fed Chairman Jay Powell were taken as a sign that the end of the central bank's rate tightening cycle is near. However, it's clawed back some ground this morning. Sterling off 1/3 of 1% right now against the greenback. Sterling down by roughly as much against the euro. The single currency, meanwhile, more or less unchanged right now against the dollar. On the equity markets, despite a solid close last night on Wall Street, the Asia-Pacific markets saw mixed trading overnight. There were gains in Tokyo and Sydney, but Shanghai finished more or less flat, while Hong Kong fell. Well, in Europe, equities are largely in positive territory this morning. Here you go, all the main continental European indices looking in pretty robust health this morning. There are masses and masses of company results out today. Talking points include Deutsche Bank, which is 3% lower in Frankfurt, despite Germany's biggest lender reporting a third consecutive annual profit and beating expectations. Here in London, the FTSE 100 up 0.5% right now in a broad-based rally. Among the leading gainers this morning is the tech investor Scottish Mortgage Trust. The shares up, getting on for 4% there. That's on a big overnight gain for the Nasdaq, which was up 2%. And the advertising group WPP, the shares there ahead some 4%. That is following strong results from its French peer Publicis today. Outside the FTSE, the meat producer Cranswick, the shares there up, getting on for 6% right now on a trading update, while the online retailer ASOS is ahead by nearly 7%, 6.5% now. Actually, that's on positive broker comment. We've had a profits warning, though, in the mid-250. The cybersecurity firm NCC, the shares there down nearly 10% after it reduced its profits forecast for the year. As for the oil price, well, that sold off last night following news of a big build-up in US crude stocks, and that's continued into today. A barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $82.70 a barrel. That is off 1/6 of 1%. Well, joining me now in the studio is the head of investment and interactive investor, Victoria Scholar. Victoria, good to see you. I mean, Shell's the showstopper today among results. Share prices reacting positively.
Yeah, showstopper results, essentially. We saw record profits in the fourth quarter and record earnings for the full year 2022, sharply outpacing its previous record from back in 2008. Of course, this has been driven by the war in Ukraine largely and the commodity boom with oil and gas prices surging last year. LNG was a real bright spot for Shell, and the earnings echo what we saw from some of the oil majors stateside, like ExxonMobil and Chevron, which also reported blockbuster profits. So that's why this stock has been doing very well over the last year.
Yeah, we heard from Wael Sawan, obviously the CEO, in his first sort of major outing. He's not really indicating a much strategic change right now at Shell. Bit of a surprise?
Yeah, a bit of a surprise, although we did have that hint of a restructuring. It looks as though he's going to try to steer the company more towards low carbon energies and the energy efficient future. So that's essentially what we've heard from him so far. Obviously, he's only been at the helm since the start of January, taking over from Big Boots Ben van Beurden. So there's a lot to be done, but I do think this is going to be a big long-term shift, this focus on climate change for Shell.
Now, what about BT? I mean, the share price has been up and down like a fiddler's elbow today.
Yeah, I mean, when I first looked this morning, it was down multiple percent, but just now I looked and it's actually trading higher. And I think that highlights the fact that the report was mixed. We had a miss on revenue, but actually it kept its full year outlook unchanged. It sold off its BT Sport unit, so that provides a cash tailwind to the business. And of course, over the pandemic and post, there's an increasing reliance on superfast broadband. You know, more and more of us are working from home, so there's all of us going to need supercharged connectivity, so that's been helping BT. But on the flip side, its enterprise unit, the business and government part of the business, has been struggling. So all in all, a bit of a mixed picture there.
Yeah, I mean, the standout for me was Openreach, really, which is clearly doing very well. It's growing earnings. It's obviously got a massive build out of fibre underway, but it seems to be the sort of star performer in BT this time around.
Yeah, I think it does look as though that is one of the key performers for BT, and hopefully that will help to steer its share price higher, because it's had a pretty tough time, caught up in the broader market sell-off last year with the stock down quite heavily. So perhaps this year will be a bit better. We've seen the shares do well so far since the start of 2023.
Now, what about Meta? That was the after-hours announcement last night. Share price was up 19% in after-hours trading.
Huge boost for Meta, Facebook's parent company, after hours up by nearly 20%, in stark contrast to what we saw in the previous quarter, the third quarter results, where investors were spooked by Mark Zuckerberg's bet on the metaverse, which didn't pay off. You know, we're clearly in a challenging macroeconomic environment with high inflation and slow growth, but it looks as though the tech giants like Meta are doing things to appeal to investors. Huge job cuts from Meta were already announced last month, 11,000, and it's issued this whopping $40 billion share buyback program, helping to boost shares. But Zuckerberg said this is the year of cost efficiency, and he's going to try and save about $5 billion this year. So investors really cheering that news today.
All right, Victoria, got to leave it there. Good to see you this morning. Back now to our top story, which is that Ofgem is launching an urgent investigation into British Gas after claims that debt firms broke into homes to fit prepayment meters. It follows a report in The Times, which said that the practice was being used against vulnerable people. Well, joining me now is Chris O'Shea. He's Chief Executive of Centrica, the parent company of British Gas. Chris O'Shea, welcome to you. When did you find out about this?
Good morning, Ian. Thanks very much for having me on. I was made aware on Monday about the Times investigation and took immediate action when I heard some of the allegations. We haven't yet had the full details from the Times. We've asked them for all of the information we've got so that we can have a proper investigation. The first thing we did was to suspend Arvato, the contractor. I think it's let us down hugely. The second thing was to launch an independent investigation led by our General Counsel. And then yesterday morning, and when we saw some of the information from the Times, what we did was we announced that we were going to suspend all prepayment meter installations under warrant until at least the end of this winter. I just want to make sure that we can establish exactly what's going on. We've clearly got it wrong here, and we're going to fix that. We don't get everything right, we get more right than wrong, but when we get it wrong, we fix it. So I just want to establish the facts. Every single one of our customers deserves to be treated with respect.
But how did you feel when you first saw this footage?
Disappointed, livid, gutted. This is not who I am. It's not the standards I set myself. It's not the standards that I set in the company. It's not who we are. It's not how we do business. There's no excuse. It's deeply, deeply disappointing. Quite distressing, actually.
We're just going to play viewers a little clip of what the Times has put up, Chris, if you bear with us, please.
Hello, it's British Gas, your gas supplier. We're here with a court warrant. Can you please open the door? Otherwise, there were lots of people open it for you. This is the exciting bit. I love this bit.
Which bit?
This bit. I love this bit.
This is the exciting bit. I love this bit. I mean, this is disgusting, Chris. I mean, don't you vet these people?
So you're right. There's no excuse. There's nothing really I can say to that. Everybody can make their own judgment. It's unacceptable. We do try. We don't vet every individual member of staff. What we do when we have a prepayment meter installed under warrant, firstly, it's always a last resort. So when a customer gets into payment difficulty, what we do, we encourage them to get in touch with us. We try and get in touch with them. If the customer gets in touch with us or they talk to us, we put in a payment plan for them. So we don't have to switch them over to a prepayment meter. We want to help them. We want to support them. We've put £50 million aside recently to help those of our customers most in need. We really want to help our customers. But like any business, if we have a customer that's fallen further and further into debt and we cannot get them to engage, then as a last resort, what we do is we apply to the court for a warrant to install a prepayment meter. And that sounds quite harsh. I mean, you're caught in some ways between a rock and a hard place, because the choices that you've got are to leave a customer to build up debt that you know they can't pay, or to try and do something which stops that debt being built up as much as possible. There are no pleasant outcomes in this situation. But in many industries, you're not allowed to give customers credit that you know they can't pay. And what we try and do in British Gas and Centrica is to balance that. Now, clearly here, we got it wrong. But we've taken immediate action. We'll get to the bottom of it and we'll get it sorted. Our customers, nobody deserves to be treated like that. Our customers don't deserve to be treated like that. But all I can do when I learn about something like this is to do everything I can as quickly as possible to fix it.
But when you are getting a court warrant to go into a customer's house, surely you would want to vet the sort of individuals that are doing that. I mean, these people look like they're sort of glorified vehicle clampers.
Absolutely. So we have processes in place for managing our contractors. And as far as I know, the vast majority of activity that we undertake in this space and in other spaces is done with respect for customers and allows people to have dignity. Clearly, people can see from the video there, that did not happen here. The language is unacceptable. There is no excuse for it, so I'm not going to try and justify it. All I can do is, when I find out that something's gone wrong, is to get to the bottom of it as quickly as possible and fix it. That's why I took the immediate steps, 3 steps, of suspending our VATO immediately, of launching an independent investigation under our chief lawyer, and then of suspending all activity to install prepayment meters under warrant.
How many prepay meters have you installed this year, and how many of those have been forced installations?
So in the past year, we've installed 97,000 prepayment meters, the vast majority of which have been, and when we say installed, sometimes it's actually just changing over the mode. So if you've got a smart meter, it can be done remotely. The vast majority have been done either at the request of or with the agreement of customers. Around 20,000 have been installed as a result of the warrant process, which is in line with historic norms, and I think in line with the industry.
You mentioned the industry there. Is this a widespread industry practice? Are we going to find out that some of your competitors have been doing this as well?
So I can't talk for competitors. All I can do is to talk for what's going on. British Gas and its Centrica.
Well, to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. Of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Broadcasting live online. Turn it on. Turn it up.
It's your man. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around. and the world. In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome.
This is Starr Radio UK.
All of you make
Welcome.
You make a doubt they fade, Jesus, and that's what makes you great.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you and welcome you to the Thursday edition of the morning show. Today is the second day of the second month of the year 2023, that is the 2nd of February 2023. Return on 10:45 from the House of London. Once again, running behind time, but hey, we need to be checking all stories, making sure that they are authenticated before we come on air. So the production team has been doing very, very well. Let me say massive good morning to Mr. Francis Guy and to my co-host, Mr. Olayomi Koike. Massive good morning to you, sir. I hope you are doing very well, and the family as well. He's going to be joining us exactly at 11 o'clock with updates from Nigeria. I hope that you enjoyed Niger Voices yesterday. It was a smasher of a program, but what do you think about all that? Now, how many days more? 23 days more for the election, and what do you think is going to happen? What are Nigerians expecting? Well. Let me say good morning to Anthony Adedeji Abdulaziz. Where you are, Sir Maxwell. Olakunle, good morning to you.
Love for you.
Our presenters of Starr Radio, you can salute each and every one of you, and I welcome you to the program as well.
All of you makes my heart beat.
Brother Felix all the way in Aberdeen, massive good morning to you. Mr. Kofi Ali Abdul Yakin. Yes, Dr. Martin, I got a message. You know, critics. But hey, that's how we do it. Hey, Kofi Asante, good morning. Okay, all protocol observed. This is how the program is going to be for today. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel updates. Move on from there to look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as global trotting. Then from there, we continue to have a look at some of the other stories making the rounds in Nigeria, known as updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koike. To then continue from there when we have a look at other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. The lines will be open at 12 o'clock for you to add your voice to the discussions, and exactly at 12:30 the curtains will be brought down for the end of the program. Well, I guess that's what's going to happen today. Play in the background something from Edith Morrison, and it says, "Great are you, Lord." But I remain yours sincerely, the one and only, and still.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Okay, let's crack on. The quote for the day says, "Come to the realization that many of the things you look forward to may not happen." But then believers will say, what about of faith where we say that whatever we say, we have to believe that it's going to be. Well, some don't translate into reality. But hey, we say that God knows the best for you. All right then, let's crack on.
Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord.
Now moving on straight to the weather front. Well, today it's going to be raining. Serious interest rates high here in the UK. But when it comes to the weather front, this is how the weather is going to be for you today. Those of us in London and the southeast of England. Well, in the early afternoon, there will be prolonged bright spells mixed with some patchy cloud. More in the way of cloud later in the day, remaining dry throughout. And then this evening will become cloudier for a time, but as the night progresses, cloud will tend to dissipate, allowing for lengthy clear spells to develop. It's going to be staying dry. Total temperature is going to be 13 degrees, the lowest is going to be 8 degrees. UV level is going to be low and pollution is going to be low as well. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. 10:49 the time. Now I'm going to be taking you straight to the travel updates. So stay tuned and don't tag the dial. This is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, I'm keeping navigated, I promise our bond. Now, this morning on the underground here, good service throughout London Tramlink, London Overground, good service there. But DLR has got minor delays between Stratford International and Canning Town due to an earlier signal failure at West Ham. Good service on the rest of the line. I'm moving on straight to the major roads in London. What do we have in stock? Yes, A10, A2, A4, A41, Blackwall Tunnel, and Central London Red Routes closures there. So check before you leave. On the river bus, I can tell you assuredly, good service throughout, and as well as the London cable car as well, good service there. I'm moving on to the final segment of the travel update. That's the National Rail. This is what is happening there. Cross country has got minor delays. London Northeastern Railway, ScotRail, and Southwestern Railway have all got minor delays. Now, Southern has got special service. That aside, all the others, good service. And as I will say it once again, say it loud. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes, you know what? Where? On the roads. And have a lovely day.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medase.
Welcome back to the program, Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, 10:51 the time, global tracking the time now. So let's go, let's see what is happening from across the globe. When it comes to one of the stories making the rounds, election 2023 in Nigeria, well, as it was alleged yesterday, El-Rufai is alleging that, well, there are some saboteurs in the federal government who are sabotaging Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. You know, at times we say that, well, because you cannot carry the burden that you have to carry, or you see that things are falling apart for you, then you say, you know what, it is the cloth that I've made to help me carry, that is what is causing me not to carry. But well, or not be able to carry whatever. So is that what is happening? Is he seeing things falling apart for him there, and therefore they need to find a way and means to say that, well, it's someone else's fault? Well, what do you think? Well, lots more going to be coming your way, but the federal government have been debunked that. So, lots more going to come your way from Nigeria. But Russia army officer, our troops tortured Ukrainians. The former senior lieutenant tells the BBC he witnessed mistreatment of prisoners. Well. Ooh. I bet you they'll be looking for him. And Russia planning 24th February offensive, says Ukraine. Kyiv says Russia has amassed 500,000 men for an attack in the coming weeks. Is it the first anniversary of the invasion, and that's what they want to come with the big bang? Is that what is going to happen? Now, U.S. secures deals on bases to complete arc around China. Now, Washington now has more access to Philippines military bases facing the South China Sea and Taiwan. Well, I hope the tensions are not going to be raised there. And mourners and protesters clash at Cardinal Pell's funeral. Australia's highest-ranking Catholic was accused of failing to tackle child sex abuse in the church. And U.S. Black History syllabus changed after woke claims. Now, topics including Black Lives Matter and reparations for slavery are now listed as optional. Well, a lot more going to be coming away from there. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, 4 have been jailed over a deadly jihadist attack in Vienna. The men are convicted of helping the killer who went on the rampage in November 2020. And then when it comes to Joe Biden, I think Trump's camp will be saying, no classified files found at Biden's home. Lawyers say the FBI removed materials and handwritten notes reportedly from Mr. Biden's time as vice president, but they said they were not classified. Is it because he's the president, he's the incumbent, and therefore they want to shush, hash it? What do you think? Okay. It's more coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, when it comes to the African front, while lifting opposition ban sues Tanzania's leader, how democracy is faring as President Samia dismantles some of her predecessors' dictatorial policies. And I've been asking that, when you become an incumbent and a president, and you see that you have good ideas that you want to put through, but you know definitely have opposition who are doing their best to stop you from doing that. At times they find ways and means to silence them. It comes to one party state or silence everybody who is an opposition. At times they will just break you and put you somewhere. Now, do you think that helps in our development? Then after that, you know that you are not more treating the people, but just silencing them so that you can just get on with what the agenda that you have for the nation. Then after that, you step back and then let them out. By the time they come out, you would have sorted things. And what do you think about all that? Well, some people will be opposing. They say that's not the form of democracy that we are looking at. Allow people to make noise and throw the spanner in your web and, impede your progress a bit. But what do you think? Now, Kenyan teachers held over video of people simulating sex. Whoa. Police say the video clips appear to have been recorded at school, and more stories from there as well. Ethiopia's Orthodox Church criticizes Prime Minister amid tensions. It has threatened to call for nationwide protests led by its patriarch against Abiy Ahmed's remarks. Well, I'll be telling you more about that as well. Malawi anti-graft chief suspended over leaked audio. The Martha Chizuma's comments in the audio are considered potentially prejudicial to those accused of graft. And Chad to open embassy in Israel after resuming ties. Now, Chad President Mohamed Debi is in Israel and has met Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem. Well, what is all that about? What is all that about? Well, what is in Chad? Well, maybe somebody will tell us more about that. But let's move on. Spanish Prime Minister in Morocco to reinforce cooperation after mending ties. Sanchez landed in Morocco Wednesday for a visit centered around economic ties after the kingdom resumed cooperation with a North African nation. Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I am a fixer, not a talker. Dr. Osei Educhum tells critics, he says he's a fixer, not a talker. Well, I like acting more than talking. You know, when people go baby, I say let's get on with it. Now, bodies of 10 civilians allegedly killed by soldiers released to families for burial. How come? What happened? Father and daughter died in a gory accident at Ejiso Onwe. It's one of the stories making the round. And those in charge of education do not believe in the basic education system. Reverend Isaac Owusu is saying there as well. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, F9 students ruling the country. Nana Jantua is saying. And Nana Jantua was my mate. Okay. 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 So that will be coming your way there as well. Who are the F9 students? The General Secretary of the Convention People's Party, Nanaya Jantua, has described the current Akufo-Addo-led administration performance as complete failure. Speaking, the CPP executive said leadership of the country under the new patriotic parties, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, are ruling the country like F9 students, while individuals who can be selected to work towards economic liberation have been sidelined. F9 students are ruling the country, and the A1s are sitting on the bench. Woo! Who is she talking about? Lots more going to be coming away from there, but it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. And as I said, pollution. Amnesty welcomes multi-billion-dollar suit by 13,500 Niger Delta villagers against Shell in London. Wow! When the money is paid, where would it even go to? You know, our leaders. Well. Okay, a lot more going to be coming your way. But now, let's enjoy this music. And it says Everlasting to Everlasting by Pastor Theodora Boache Ansa. Enjoy it and I'll be with you. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
We bow before your throne, oh great I am, omnipotent, King of kings, and Lord of lords. We worship you.
On your smartphone.
All around the world.
This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK.
You are listening to Starr Radio.
Where we bow down and worship you. And we lift you high.
lovely tune by Pastor Theodora Boache answer there. Everlasting to everlasting. It's our Lord God. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'll be having Miss Olayomi joining in pretty soon. But interestingly, one of the stories that is making the rounds in Nigeria this morning, Kwankwaso is saying that, no, you know what? I am disappointed in Atiku. He lied. Oh my goodness. The presidential candidate of the new Nigeria's People's Party, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, has said he is not in talks with the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, that's the PDP, and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Kwankwaso's reaction is a sequel to claims by the PDP presidential candidate that he was in talks with the former Kano governor and Peter Obi of the Labour Party ahead of the February 25 poll.
As a creator who was not created.
Atiku, in an interview with the BBC, however, disclosed that the talks were ongoing between him and the LP and NNPP candidates. Speaking on another media, Kwankwaso insisted that he won't step down for anyone. My goodness.
Call you Emmanuel.
As things falling apart before even started. But the question is, would that election even hold at all? Well. If you had the opportunity to join Ms. Olayomi Koiki yesterday on the Niger Voices, you would have heard what a comment that people were putting across. Okay, whilst we wait for Ms. Olayomi Koiki, who will be joining us in a moment. Continue to enjoy the tune. But I'll bring you some of the headlines there as well. Rivers government has cancelled approval for PDP Presidential Campaign Council as a use of a stadium. What is all that? So if you go to the restaurant goal of your opponent, they are coming to your place, then you say, no, you can't use that place. That'll be quite an interesting election, right? But it's Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to 7 minutes past 11. As I said, Yomi is ready, but he just put in some few connections through. So just for the other platforms where we broadcast to as well. Naira scarcity. Finally, Atiku reacts, gives CBN advisory hint. What hint has he given them? And one knocks on Buhari, Emifele, as Kwankwaso reveals, pertaining to the Naira scarcity. Is it that the politicians wouldn't get the money to be dishing out, like they normally do, taking bullion vans to people's homes and then getting the money, sacks of money, and they dish it out, But interestingly, Tinubu said that, well, the fact that the other election, the last election, there was a bullion van in his home. He said, well, it's not that I sent the bullion van to come to my home, but it was that it missed its way, and I think they came to him. He is a sat nav for the area, going to tell them where exactly the bullion van is supposed to go to. But well, you want to know more? Just stay tuned, because I've now got the one and only White Lion, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who has joined us. Let me say massive good morning to you, Yomi.
A very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the world. And it is the Thursday edition, the 2nd day of February. And let's say good morning, good afternoon, and welcome once again to Starr Radio UK. It is always the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, where we take you around the world. But this time around, at exactly 8 minutes past 11, we're actually taking you into the most important part of Africa, Nigeria. and I say welcome to the program.
Yes. How are you doing? How are you doing, and how is the family?
Well, the family is doing very well. I'm doing as well, very good. As usual, I've done the normal runs that we do in the morning. Good to be back home as usual as well. And I say it is, the weather is not too bad this morning. I didn't realize that the crowd of over 500,000 teachers were in central London yesterday. We missed that. We could have been right there, but it shows that protest is allowed. But again, you can't do that for a very long period. It will collapse the whole system. So the schools have actually resumed back. But the message to the government yesterday is, you must look into our wages, and I'm sure that is a signal. But can this happen in any part of Africa where over 500,000 teachers in university will come out? I'm not sure such can happen without any kind of blood spill by the country like Nigeria that probably love to drink blood. But again, we're here to say Nigerians' right must be respected, the indigenous people must be respected, and that was where we started from yesterday into Niger Voices. I come again to you back in the studio.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi again on Northland Studios. I'm Archie here in the South Studios, where we'll be bringing you updates from Nigeria. But let's go to yesterday's Niger Voices. Though you've hinted on it briefly, let's, for the sake of those who didn't have the opportunity, so that next time they can join in, can you tell us exactly what was discussed there, please?
Well, Niger Voices is a program that comes up, every Wednesday live on the transmission from London, and it is a very, very important program in the sense that it not only engage Nigerian, it also engage, other African countries that are probably maybe have married Nigerians, or they're also doing one business or the other with Nigeria. So yesterday, we actually looked at, what should Nigerians be expecting in the next 24 days to election. It is now 23 days. Election has been scheduled for the 25th of February, but because of a lot of uncertainty that has been going on in Nigeria for the last 62 years of Nigeria independence that led to the democracy, a lot of questions are now being asked, whether Nigeria will be able to hold itself together. Let me go through some of what we looked into, so that, it's a 2.5 hours program. It's already on the Starr Radio UK website. It's on our social media, Facebook, YouTube, and likewise on the Twitter. Remember to follow us on Twitter on Starr Radio UK. We looked at 5 angles that election might not be able to hold. And even if the election hold, are we going to get, the final conclusive result? The number one we looked at is the coup that probably might come up before the election, which again is still something that is being cooked, but probably maybe by the time it's finished, it will become something that will come on the airwaves, and then we would officially know that it's a coup. But right now, there is no coup in Nigeria, but there is high intelligence that there might be one before election. The second one is, we looked at the 774 local government where election will be held. If 550 of those local governments have been attacked in one way or the other by terrorism, the ISIS, the Boko Haram, and the jihadis, the Fulani attacks in the 550 local government, will that guarantee an election to hold in Nigeria? I mean, we're talking about almost more than half of, what we can call, local government that is currently being affected. We talked about that, again, moving into the insecurity as well. We now talked about identity, the identity of who, the identity of the indigenous people, the Biafra, the Yorubas, the Middle Belt, the Hausa, and the remaining ethnic groups, in terms of whether their real identity is Nigerians or it's something that they would like to continue to be used as Nigerians rather than saving their own identity. I mean, an English will probably not like to be called a Scottish, and a Wales will probably not to be like to call a German. I'm not sure somebody that is a French would like to change his identity to something else entirely. We now talked about the interim government, and that took us back to Babangida when he was actually leaving the office. Babangida did not resign. He did not retire. All he did was he stepped aside, gave the government to Shonekon, which was an interim government during that period of time. And eventually, Abacha took over just in time. It was like a prey lion waiting, for Babangida to go. Are we going to see a kind of interim government set up before May 29. He then came up to talk about the subsidy. We talked about, the new Naira note, and we talked about, 3 trillion is currently, we talked about 200 billion is the budget that is set up for Nigeria. But 2 trillion of that is something that we are spending on subsidy. Remember that this government, in terms of, the current situation with El Rufai saying that it looks like there's now a new cabal trying to disturb, the reason why APC should win the election. We talked about Atiku as well, in terms of, whether Atiku, is somebody to be brought in as the new president. We looked at Peter Obi. Is Peter Obi going to bring the unity, or is it an agenda on an agent to disrupt the Biafra movement as well? Peter Obi at some point supported the Biafra movement. And the last but the least is talking about the right to self movement. And that movement means that, if the Baba Adeboye, the leader of the Redeemed Christian Church, say 80% of the income of a nation is actually going into the pocket of few. And likewise, 90% of money we get, we are currently using what we can call the interest that we are paying on the money that is being borrowed presently. All these were something that we discussed yesterday. We talked about the press release between the Biafra and the Yoruba, and some date that the Biafra has already put out for those in that particular part of Nigeria today, the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th, the 26th, the 27th, the 28th. You must save those dates, according to the spokesperson of the Biafra, Mazi Simon Ekpa. And the question then is, APC is a Yoruba candidate, PDP is a Fulani candidate, Labour Party is an Igbo candidate. Is Nigeria going to survive the next 24 days?
That is a big question. Is Nigeria going to survive the next 24 days? But the issue is, some people say there's an adage in Ghana where they say the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. So maybe the Igbos decide, you know what, we think that because Peter Obi has been part of the IPOB before, or someone who was supporting that cause where the Igbos will separate themselves from Nigeria. Maybe he's somebody who has got that thing behind the scenes, and therefore, if they vote for him, he will give them the opportunity to do so. Now we have Atiku, who hails from the north, and who is saying that, well, you know what, if you give him power, I come in, I will make sure that Nnamdi Kanu is set free. And some are thinking that he's using that as a campaign message just for people in the southeast to vote for him. And then we have Tinubu, who people are saying this one is old, but somebody say it's our own. He comes from our area, but maybe he will do something better. But what do you think? We want to know exactly what you are thinking now. Updates from Nigeria with Ms. Olayomi at 17 minutes past 11. I am Archie here in the South Studios. Now let's go to some of the story. The sabotage story, the saboteurs that El-Rufai referred to seem to be making headway, but the federal government has dismissed claims by the Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai that elements in the presidential villa, my apologies, are working against the All Progressive Congress presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Yesterday I was asking the question, is it the vice president who has failed to attend any of his rallies, or are there some other people in there who are trying to chukoko their way to stop him from getting to his place? Yomi.
Yes, as long as a message comes from Lai Mohammed, definitely the government is responding to something. Buhari not favoring or disfavoring any candidate is coming from the Information Minister, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. Alhaji Lai Mohammed spoke yesterday, the Minister for Information and Culture, yesterday, that the President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, was neither favoring nor disfavoring any presidential candidate ahead of the February 25th election. The minister actually stated these after the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting that comes up every Wednesday, when reacting to a statement by the Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai that some element in Aso Rock were working against the victory of the presidential candidate of the ruling party and the All Progressive. So what we can say is, it seems that it sees also that the situation that we are witnessing right now means that the federal government does not believe that there is an agenda to disturb what is currently the current situation, between, the APC candidate and likewise, the president in sitting. So the president is very, very, concerned that, yes, they don't have anybody that they favor, but you'll expect that they should have a full support. The wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, is also coming out to speak in support that there is an agenda. Does that then mean that the person in Aso Rock is who we are saying, or is it just the same thing to say that there is just some agenda to destroy Tinubu becoming the next president, and that is actually now coming from Aso Rock itself?
Now, how can Lai Mohammed say that the president is not in favor of or supporting any of the presidential candidates? Now, APC is his party. As far as we are concerned now, he is the leader of the APC. And he has been on the campaign platform of the APC. If he wants to say that he is neutral, then he should go to the rally of Peter Obi and go to the rally of Atiku. Then we say, oh, look, he's supporting everybody so that they can, or he's abstaining from that. That statement, I think, falls flat in the face. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the message coming from the presidency, is a very, very something to look into. I mean, El Rufai is making allegation. Alhaji Lai Mohammed, representing the minister as a government official, is saying that that is definitely not true. And the question is, who is actually now behind so many things that is not going in accordance to plan? We know that Tinubu have cited that redesigning the naira at this particular time, petrol scarcity that is now becoming quite alarming. What could be why all this is happening during an election that is just about 24 days away? In fact, as El Rufai say, I discussed with the president and show him, like I said, that subsidy needs to go, because how can you have a capital budget of 200 billion naira for federal roads, then you are spending 2 trillion on a petroleum subsidy? This was a conversation he said he had in 2021 with the president when the subsidy thing started rising. He was convinced. We left it. It changed. Everyone in the government agreed, and it changed. But the second example I would give is the currency redesign. You have to understand the president. People are blaming the governor of the central bank for the currency redesign, but no, you have to go back and look at the first outing of the Buhari as a president. He did this. Buhari and Idi Agbon regime changed our currency, and he did it in a secrecy with a view to catching those that are stashing away illicit fund. So could it be that the reason why the currency was changed, we are talking about a huge domination, 1,000 naira, 500 naira, and 200 naira. If somebody have about, billion of 1,000 naira they're using, going to be spending towards the election, and within a space of 2 months, that currency change in their hands. How do you get that 2 billion back into the banking and then change it to the new one? And as of today, you cannot even withdraw a 500,000 naira from your bank. You definitely have to do so in a small quantity of 20,000 naira. So let's talk about politicians that have stashed away money in their house, ready to be used for the election campaign, only for the president to now change that. But El Rufai believe that it is not the president, it is not the CBN, it is another new cabal that has brought in the agenda of changing the currency some few months before the election.
Well, interesting. We'll see, because we had Tinubu who was saying that in the last election where there was a bullion van that was found in his compound, he was saying that, you know what, the driver missed his way to the bank, whatever bank they missed their way to or wherever they were going to, and ended up in his house. I don't know whether he's got a sat nav in his house which directs, or like the airport where they got the radar system, so he has to come there, then they say go left, and but our politicians, as this guy says, pity on us, our politicians. Okay, well, listen to Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's come straight to the currency, the Nigeria, the new notes that seem to be giving the problem. Now, as you did mention, we have the situation where politicians who, take sacks of money to be given to our voters. But now, with what is happening now, so that's why some people are calling it a sabotage to their winning of elections, because they will not have the means to support or to pay our voters. Now, so which of the candidates do you think that is in favor of?
Well, who is he in favor of is definitely, we don't know, but we might say Peter Obi doesn't want to spend money, but every election in Nigeria involves, billions of naira to be spent. I mean, for campaign, for logistics, not illegally, but we do know that, when it comes to the previous one, like the the PDP and the APC, they've always used, fraudulent way, to manipulate, Nigerians in terms of, money-wise. So, I mean, people are being paid, 5,000, 2,000 naira, and if over 1 billion naira that should have been prepared, because the money is already withdrawn, the money is already in their house, in their warehouse, somewhere that we don't know, just as they were hiding away the COVID, materials that was meant for Nigerians. So this money is not meant to be in the bank, according to the politicians. The politician wants to use the money towards the period of the election, and all of a sudden, the CBN is changing the money. So who is he not going to favor? Is definitely the APC and the PDP. And as we saw in their primaries, dollar was exchanged, in a heavy one. Najatu Muhammad has already said so much as well. And even if he hasn't said a lot, we know that since 1999 till date, election in Nigeria has never been an election. It has always been who has the capacity, who has taken the government resources from their state to use against other opposition. As we do know, I mean, yes, Buhari might say he's not releasing money, for Tinubu, but we know that Tinubu has access to the Lagos money, as an example, as something that is evidence that is alpha beta that is set up. He's also taking commission out of it as well. So, and we look at PDP as well. They have different governors, even though they have 5 governors that are still not said exactly where they would prefer, their followers to support Atiku or not. But we'll have to wait and see if that is going to happen. So those that will be affected more is definitely PDP and APC. And as we speak today, banking hall is empty as the naira scarcity continue to worsen. We can't show the video, but there was a woman that almost stripped naked yesterday in the banking hall with just the top on alone. The top was already off. She only had the bra. There was another man that was already removing all his outfit, right in front of the banking hall. And the reason for that is they're becoming frustrated. They have the money in the bank, but there's no money for the bank to give to them.
Now, when it comes to Nigeria, using like electronic transaction, let me put it that way, where here, I might not have cash on me. Now I can just take my card and just touch, bus, everything, touch, and go. How robust is that system in Nigeria?
Which is exactly what I've done today. I mean, I can't remember the last time I used my Oyster. I would rather use my bank card as long as there's money in there. If there's no money in there, then you can't reject it. Nigerians are also struggling, to do transaction, that means moving money from one person to the other. And the way that normally would have worked is, I can send money to somebody today, and we can do that transaction, which is the cashless system you're talking about. So literally, if I send 50,000 naira to someone this morning, and I don't want them to remove that money, then that means that the next person or the next person that we're going to be transacting with will be then a transaction. Those has been going on for some time, but because of all this situation that is going on, the networking, I struggled to send money to people yesterday that we wanted to, not a lot of money. We end up have to use that money to purchase the data that they will probably have used the money for in the first place. The question is, there are now also more people selling this new naira note. Let me give you an instance. If you have 1 million naira and you want to get the new naira note, you would definitely not be able to get, the 1 million. You would definitely get 700,000 naira, and that is just as saying that if I have 1,000 naira this morning and I wanted to exchange it back to Nigeria, that gives me probably just about 935. So if you have 1,000 naira, 1,000 pounds, and you want to get the new 1,000 pounds, then you will lose about 200 pounds on that, because you are getting the new 1,000 pounds. So I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So in Nigeria today, you are using money to buy new money and you are losing on it. So if I wanted to remove 1,000 pounds and I need that new 1,000 pounds, I have to be ready to fortify 200 pounds out of it to get the new naira note. One person has been arrested according to the federal government, for selling this money. And again, more people are concerned that as day goes by, they have the money. For those that don't have, it's okay. But those that have, they can't withdraw the money. And frustration is already kicking in. In the ATM, we are seeing people fighting each other. I was looking at the petrol station where people that even want to transact in the petrol station are throwing kegs at each other. Nigeria is going through a real difficult time. And the question is, can Nigerians manage this for election time or after the election? We will tell as time goes, as we continue to monitor the situation on ground.
Well, would this cause maybe a pause to the election date? Because if there is unrest, insecurity and everything, and people cannot go about their duties, then what's the point of going for an election? And that's why people are speculating that there could be a coup d'etat, there could be that, there could be that, there could be that. But what do you think? If you are on the ground listening to us, what do you really think? Let us know what you think there. It is Starr Radio UK. Now let's come to the rivers area, that is the southeast. I mean, where we are looking at environmental pollution. Now, back in the day, I remember who was killed by Abacha. What was his name? Ken Saro-Wiwa was standing up for his people and was saying that the pollution and everything that was going on wasn't right. But for I don't know, no apparent reason, the head of state at the time decided to side with the foreign entities who were just raking the crude oil out and causing mayhem in that area. Now, we thought that after his death and everything, maybe the government will see sense. But it looks like it's going on. We're talking about Shell, who has made declared a profit of 32 billion. Yet, you go to the areas where they are mining, or all this extraction is going on, and you see how impoverished that particular place is and how their environment has all been destroyed. Farmers cannot go to their farms because they cannot use the farms to plant anything there. And they are not benefiting from the crude oil. So what's the point? But some have taken them to court. And what is it?
Well, you're right. This morning, Shell was announcing that they are making good money. Shell actually announced a record annual profit of 32.2 billion pounds sterling after the energy price surge. Pressure over profit as consumers struggles with cost of living crisis has led to the company being hit with an estimate 2.3 billion in a windfall taxes for the full year. As they are making money, let's remember that somebody like Ken Saro-Wiwa, the picture behind you there, was actually killed by the federal government of Nigeria, as at that time was a military dictator, Sani Abacha. Ken Saro-Wiwa was murdered on the 10th of November 1995. He was a Nigerian writer, television producer, and one thing that led him to be killed was because of his environmental activists. Up till now, he died at the age of 54 as at that period of time. He would have been alive today to witness that in London here, a court case against Shell has now taken up as well. Amnesty has welcomed the multi-billion-dollar suit by 13,500 Niger Delta villagers against Shell in London. Shell actually oil spills have wrecked their livelihood and poisoned their wells, polluted their land, water, which means they can no longer farm or fish. This was the reason why Ken Saro-Wiwa was out there campaigning, reacting to the news that two Nigerian communities which have been devastated by the oil spill have filed claims against Shell at the High Court here in London. Amnesty International Head of Businesses and Human Rights, Mark Donald, said Shell announced in 2021 that it plans to sell its onshore oil field and asset in the Niger Delta after 60 years of highly profitable operations in the area. Imagine you've sucked the crude oil for 60 years, you've actually damaged the environment, and you are now saying, maybe we should just let this go, offset the whatever we have there, the asset, and then move straight forward to something else. And it is concerned that Shell has not explained how it plans to address the widespread systematic pollution of the Nigerian community links to it. What you should be asking then is, what is the federal government doing, to these? And we know that the federal government promised that they will also be doing what they call a cleanup of that particular area. Shell should clean up the pollution the oil has caused in this community, also compensate those whose life would have been devastated, whose health has been harmed. I'm not sure that is going to happen, but since the court case has now triggered here in London, we would have to wait to see what could be the outcome for 60 years of Shell in Nigeria now trying to pull out after devastating effect of so many lives that are now becoming a threat to not just their life, but also to their health.
Listeners, Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Olakunle says, good morning, Archie and White Lion. Much love and respect to everyone. 100 of hearts to you all. And Olakunle, thank you very much for joining us as well. Okay, now we're going to be moving on to some of the other stories making the rounds. A woman colluding with bank selling recolored Naira notes on Twitter has been arrested. I mean, we know that that time of it's desperate times, desperate measures. People are doing all sorts to rake in some money there. But we've talked about a lot about the what is going on when it comes to the new Naira notes. But I know Yomi has got more stories coming your way. Now, Yomi, elections, will it hold? As we see, some yet to be identified assailants have attacked the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission at Ojoto in the Idemili South local government area of Anambra State. And you listen to that thing and you ask yourself, already they were complaining that logistics, they are not sure they will be able to get the logistics there. So if places where they've gotten it, their edifices or their buildings are being burnt down and stuff like that. Now, what is the hope, Yomi?
Well, you're quite right. Anambra again, gunmen killed a teenager, a very sad one, and also burned 1,240 INEC materials with buildings. And the pressure just continues in the southeast part of the country as we speak. Some yet to be identified as selling, like you said, actually burned down the Independent National Electoral Commission at Ojoto in the Idemili South local government area of Anambra State. The hoodlum also attacked the Inobi police station and a residential building at the station. Both Ojoto and Inobi are all in the Idemili South local government. All this actually took place late early hours of this morning at about 1:45 according to the report, in 4 unmarked Sienna vehicles. They were reportedly armed with petrol bombs and other explosives. Sources say the hoodlums burned down the INEC office before proceeding to the police station, where they killed a teenage boy, injured another girl. The hoodlums were said to have been repelled by the security operatives before they could carry out further attacks at the police facility. The situation in the southeast is something to be concerned about, and we do know that not just because of the agitation, is because we also have the uncertainty. I mean, let's remember that Wike does not even want campaign of Atiku in Rivers State, and they're meant to be political parties. So that definitely means that some of the PDP might also try to compromise the chances of Atiku in those parts of the PDP zone as well. We know that Anambra is also one particular section that is going through a lot of turmoil, just as Imo State and the rest of the other part of the southeast. But the question then remains is, with all this current situation, we've not even approached the election. We've talked about burning of INEC offices, police station, INEC materials. INEC is even struggling, in terms of, some of their materials that might be used, during this election, even though the NNPCs guarantee that there will be enough fuel. But the NURT, which is the National Union of Road Transportation that have worked in the past with INEC in terms of moving materials, are now becoming a little bit concerned because of the uncertainty of the insecurity that is taking place, not in the southeast alone, but across the country. So this is quite a bit alarming for some of us that are now saying to the international community, especially Great Britain, that are we really sure that an election will solve some of the problems enhanced into what is called Nigeria today? Because a lot of people are now asking, are we truly who we are told we are by the British government after the 1914 amalgamation?
Are you a Nigerian? Are you a Yoruba? Are you an Igbo? Are you somebody from the middle belt? Or are you a Hausa person from the north? What do you think? Well, you are the only person who can give us that answer. But it is Starr Radio UK, the morning show with Mr. Olayomi Kweke and North London Studios. I'm Archie here in the South Studios. We're going to Yomi for the rest of the stories and what is happening on the social media platform. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Quite a lot is happening. We've talked so much about, some of the headline, in the last, 4 hours from yesterday up to today. The countdown is already out there, 22 days, 23 hours, 20 minutes, 30 seconds, for the February election. But the question then is, are Nigerians going to really come out and vote? And if they're going to vote, who are they voting for? What about those that are asking for their right to self-determination? All these is all something. Obi Kwankwaso won't step down for Atiku party is the headline. Presidential candidate Wike frustrated, lack integrity, says the PDP, PCC. Imagine, Wike, is frustrated for what? We don't know. According to the People's Democratic Party Campaign Council in Rivers State, has taken a swipe at the state governor, Nelson Wike, over the cancellation of the approval granted for the party presidential campaign in Port Harcourt, the state capital. Wike is not going to give room for the party to have their campaign. He's a member of the PDP. He has not said exactly where he's going to be supporting, but one thing is, there's just a lot to witness before then. On Wednesday, the state government canceled the approval given to the PDP for the rally of a standard bearer to hold in the state on February 11, 2023. So all this is going on in Nigeria as we continue to look into a lot of other issues.
Yeah, Yomi, just a quick one. Just a quick one on that. Now, this Rivers that are banning Atiku from conducting a campaign rally there. Now, just in case Atiku wins the election, let's what do you think is going to happen to Wike then?
Well, Wike is actually ending his tenure. I mean, he's done 8 years.
Okay.
So the only thing is he's not going to get a ministerial post.
Okay.
The only thing is he might be arrested. The only thing is that Atiku might not have to do anything because it is not everybody in the state that disagree with Atiku. It's just that the governor that should be given the backing, using maybe the government resources to support, has now also denied the state resources for his own political party. And Wike, complaint has been that he has been the only one that have stood with that party since 1999. Atiku has been moving like, I'm looking for the right word. When you pick something, you dump it, you pick it. Atiku is not sure. He keeps moving to wherever he believes that he might have opportunity. And he believes that his time is now on the PDP. Wike contested heavily in that presidential primary, but the dollar was not enough. Atiku had enough dollar to make things change. And today, Wike is now showing him who he is from the state level. But all this is going to have big impact in terms of their party. And even though they are facing that, APC is facing the other way around as the internal cabal is destroying the chances of Tinubu. Labour Party seems to be going in a smooth way. But the question then is, will the election be given to the Labour Party candidate Peter Obi? Should he even win? Or are we going to see a runoff? Or are we going to see where the Yorubas will hold the ground and say election will not hold in the southwest, just as the Biafra are saying nobody will be allowed to conduct any election again in Biafra land? So there's just a lot of mixed bag. But we will continue to monitor all these as we go straight into the social media, where Tinubu is trending at 17,000 as at this morning. And the reason why Tinubu is trending, we know he's got a lot of mixed bag on his head. But let's take a look at why he's trending. APC campaign, Tinubu continuous gaffe, a disaster waiting to happen. Special Assistant to the Public Communication, Frank Shuaibu, berate the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu for his continuous gaffes, says it is evidence of disconnect from the reality. Tinubu has been saying a lot. Peter Obi is the king of the subtle jazz. He taught Bola Tinubu to shred. That's another video there. So quite a lot is going on. Let me set the record straight. Bola Tinubu doesn't represent the Yoruba people. He represents himself and other criminals following him. So be warned. This is coming from Ewatomi of Ibadan at Ewatomi Cruise. You can see that with a very, it looks like the lips is quite a big one here in this cartoonic, graphic that has been done. The civil society came out as well. This APC government choose to keep silent and watch people suffer while the banks abuse this new currency. Meanwhile, their candidate, Bola Tinubu, is out there running around making more promises and voting obedient and that. Also, we saw that there's more protests coming as the coalition of civil society are now also on a full ground with their protest saying, the sabotage of this government, enough is enough. So quite a lot of tension going on as we speak in Nigeria. So let's quickly, again, the picture. This is coming from INEC now. Press release, attack on our Idemi South Local Government Office in Anambra. Office was set ablaze at the early hours of today. 729 ballot boxes, 243 voting cubicles, 256 election bags destroyed. Uncollected PVCs not affected by the infamous. That is quite a very, that is a magical one. I mean, 2023 election we hold. So INEC is so adamant that whatever is happening in their INEC offices being burnt down, they are still going to go ahead with the election according to them. So if the PVC has not been affected, how come it's taking longer, for those to get their PVC is the question. So let's take a look now at the other part before we come back again to you in the studio and wrap it up. Again, quite a lot of Nigerians use, the social media. Citizen A1, the protest against CBN currency exchange policy has started in Lagos. It's coming up there as well. Also, quite a lot of other news. Yesterday, Biafra Liberation Army neutralized 17 ELOCs and one armored personnel carrier of the Nigerian terrorists in uniform who came to carry out their usual genocide in Biafra land. The war is official. They met higher power resistance from the Biafra Liberation Army. This is coming from Simon Ekpa, the spokesperson of the Biafra as well. Also, we are looking at more other two before we come back again to you in the studio. Quite a lot on the social media. This weekend again, at exactly on the 4th at 5 p.m., Biafrans and Oduduwa and Ambazonia, there is a prize for freedom. And this is coming out exactly on the Twitter space by Ifeanyi Inwura. So that is also going to be coming up this Saturday. And the last one, Central Bank of Nigeria has now directed deposit money banks to commence the payment of the redesigned Naira note over the counter, subject to a maximum daily payout of, guess what, 20,000 Naira.
Isn't that government want to keep people's money? Government is broke.
So if I have money, and let me break it down, we say all the time the exchange rate is 920. So a 20,000 Naira, let's take 15 pounds and multiply by 935. So 15 pounds is what you can withdraw if you have 1,000 pounds, if you have 500 pounds, even if you have 20 pounds, you won't be able to withdraw that 20 pounds. So imagine that. I mean, I have gone out this morning, as usual, to do my rounds, and I've been able to spend, not a lot of money. And if I wanted to spend that money, only to be told by the counter that I can't spend that money because the money, even though it's available, but there's a restriction on it. So there's a cap that is frustrating Nigerians, and that is why the woman was almost half naked yesterday in the banking hall. More people are queuing outside the banking hall. The situation is very, very terrible on the ground. 23 days before the election, there is no money for any Nigerians today, even though diaspora are trying to help their family, especially as the election is coming, to maybe get them food and whatever, but they are not getting the money out of the bank. And we now also have countdown before your money becomes officially expired. 8 days from today, you will not be able to use the old Naira note.
Wow. If I say this is not confusing, then I am actually joking. But listen, it's Starr Radio UK. Now, Akinyemi says that Yoruba Nation no going back. And Aziz says, good morning, Brother Koiki and Mr. Archie. Well done. Thank you very much, Aziz. We thank you for your support. But, Yomi, before we go, what is the latest poll standings for the presidential candidate? Do you know who is in the lead?
Well, I don't have the current one, but probably maybe by tomorrow we see if we can find any poll that has been done in the beginning of this year, so that we can be able to, to knock that into it. So, but again, from this side, Shegun Ono say Nigeria situation, any difference to conditions in hell? Can we say that Nigeria is hell on earth? Why Nigerians docile in the face of horrendous living conditions they are subjected to? I got a caller from Ireland this morning, and he says that Nigerians are not suffering enough. If they are suffering enough, they'll be out there like the Arab Springs and demand their right. Even if they refuse to support the breakup of Nigeria, the stress that Nigerians are going through this morning is just something that is adding to the stress that they have already in place.
Well, listeners, that is updates from Nigeria for you, but lots more that we were not able to touch on. But tomorrow we promise you that we're going to be bringing you that as well. Yomi, before you go.
Well, stay tuned with Archie. We still have more updates from around the world. But for those of us that are here in the other part of the globe, maybe pray, but let us hope for the best, because this election is going to bring a lot of changes. Should it go ahead, that means more Nigerians might be locked into the same 1999 constitution, and if it does not go ahead, then it might bring a new reform, a new people, as it was done in the Soviet Union when Lithuania actually break away from Soviet Union, and today those in Lithuania have a better life after so many decades, or over 3 decades out of the Soviet Union dissolution. Whatever it takes, remember that Archie, myself, Frank, and the rest of the team will continue to give you all the updates. Stay tuned with all our social media platforms. I will be back again same time tomorrow. I will hand over back to you now with Archie for the rest of the segment of this morning program.
Thank you very much, Yomi. Have a wonderful day. We'll catch up later.
Bye for now.
Bye. Well, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. I tell you that you don't want to miss out on this program at all, because here we say that we make sure we analyze all the stories, trying to come into it and bringing you all the nitty-gritty when it comes to the news that is making the rounds in Niger. But wherever you are, stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. We'll take a musical break. This time around, the Zongo man, he says that use the ballot box. But that is if the election is going to hold. Okay, if the election is going to hold, then you got to use the ballot box. If it's not going to, then what do you do? What do you do? But let's enjoy that song. Like I said, they have got a Naira. Maybe the new notes, they are the ones who have got it. Go there, get it. Put it in your pocket. Go and enjoy it. When it comes, vote them down. All right? Yes, if they are bribing you, they just want to bribe you, and they'll get there and they'll go and do whatever the thing that they want to do. But believe in whatever the politician, what are their policies? What are they putting across? Do you think it's going to benefit you? Their stance. I mean, looking at their track record, are there people who have delivered? Have they done something to impact you? What are their stance? Well, the only way forward is the ballot box at the moment. We've said it time and over again. Those who are calling for cessation, we say that give them a referendum. Let them decide. If they vote, they go for a referendum, and it says that, you know what, we still want to remain, then we'll still remain. Then you give them some time. Maybe another 20, 30 years, they can come back and have a look at it again. But if not, then we stay the same. But if you are saying, no, we're not going to allow you, we're going to be bribing our ways to do whatever, then what do you think? But enjoy this song from the Zongo man. It says, use the ballot box. I'll be with you in a moment. Stay tuned.
And
Vote for no wolves.
Star Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
For people who care for you. Use the ballot box. Use the ballot box.
Well, vote for people who care for you, but you know what? How people do they vote for people like that? They want to just take some little money and then decide that, you know what? Yeah, let me do it for this one. But stay tuned. We take a commercial break and we come back and continue with the program. Stay tuned. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for star, R for radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program. It is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Gone 12 o'clock exactly. That means that the lines are open. If you want to join in the conversation, feel free to do so. Call us on 0208 133 2257 or 58 0208 133 2257 or 58. If you happen to be in Canada, the US, or the Caribbean area, it is 001718 303 2737. 001718 303 2737. Interestingly, you can text or WhatsApp us as well. It is 075-3966-1744. And you can call us on our WhatsApp. And I promise you that I can pick that one as well. Okay? So don't miss out on it. Our Twitter handle is Star Radio UK. And email address is info@starradiouk.com. Okay? Our last 30 minutes before we bring the program to a close this morning. So wherever you are, just stay tuned and don't touch the dial. So what are some of the stories making the rounds in other parts of the African continent before we come to other parts of the world as well? All right then. Well, lifting opposition ban sues Tanzania's leader. It's one of the stories making the rounds, and Ethiopia Orthodox criticizes Prime Minister amid tensions. Now, why are they doing so? But let me bring you this Tanzanian story. There is a well-deserved excitement about the return after 6 years of political rallies in Tanzania. Unbanned last month by President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Mr. Magafuli's successor, it has been prompted the return of opposition politician Tundu Lissu, who had fled the country after surviving an assassination attempt. He was able to address his ecstatic supporters at a massive rally in Dar es Salaam last week within hours of London. Now, such gatherings are the engine of politics here. The convoy of motorcycles, taxis disrupting traffic and businesses on main roads, supporters chanting party songs and later blaring of loudspeakers, or as politicians address the crowd, they really give life to local politics. Now, as Dan Page, University of Aberdeen political lecturer with a focus on Tanzania, has said, they are the country's real form of mass communication. Indefinitely banning rallies, that's to public communication in Tanzania what indefinitely banning television or the internet would do in the global north. Now, he wrote, they were the way the late president spoke to the country, especially after coming to office in 2015. He roamed freely on the road, making endless stops at villages and towns where he embarrassed and fired unpopular local officials and announced off-script policies. He wanted the world to believe that he was the hardest working president the country had ever had. And someone would say that he did very, very well, Magufuli, yes. Yet, at the same time, he forbade the opposition from exercising their constitutional right to assembly. His administration harassed and even arrested rival politicians when they held internal party meetings. Now, Magufuli made us believe that he did this to defend his ruling Chama cha Mapinduzi party, saying the opposition were puppets of foreign interests. But the opposition actually posed no real existential threat. Now, Magufuli just loved power, never missing an opportunity to bully those who did not agree with him and seemed to delight in the suffering of his opponents. But that's the question that I seem to be asking everyone. That, at times, because you look at the attainments of Magufuli, his achievements during his time on earth as a leader. Now, if he didn't put that thing in place, he wouldn't have been able to move the country to that particular point. But this is a case where we see opposition being influenced by foreign interests, some way, somehow. Okay, so we have when Ghana was on their way to attain independence, then we heard that, well, what happened was that some members, after there was a split in those who were fighting to get independence for Ghana, the CPP, and then what do you call them? What was the other party even? Come on, text me, send me a message on that. Let me know. Yeah. And then it happens that, along the line, they fell out. And then one was saying that we want independence. The others were saying, no, let's hold on to it. So there was a break in the front. However, when Ghana attained independence, Nkrumah came to power, he decided to sideline them. When he became the president, he decided to sideline them. So there was sort of an independent, one-party state. A one-party state. And someone will say that drove the development that Ghana saw at the time. So we see that when I don't know whether we have to get to a point before we roll in democracy. But somebody will say, when we have our head of states coming in, when I'm talking about the head of state, I'm talking about the military leaders and all those who come in through, should I call it the back door? Or through the gun, the barrel of the gun, come into power, then they put their foot out. But you end up seeing that they are all as corrupt as the word. As corrupt as the word, or the people around them are doing so. But what do you think? Maybe that will help us. You take a typical situation of South Korea, when the president, the one who brought about the change there, he had to eventually silence the people and then get on the agenda and see where South Korea is at the moment. And they are practicing democracy the way it's supposed to. So you can come, you can say whatever you want to say, but at the time you need to silence people and make sure that we move things forward to a point where now we can say, now let us all breathe freely. Do you think that's the way forward for Africa? Well. That is what the Tanzanian leader has done. Samia decided to lift the ban on opposition gatherings, and therefore they are also doing what they're supposed to do. It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And let me announce the breaking news that have come through. Breaking news. Bank of England raises interest rate to 4%. Well, I've been telling you what it means for you in the next few moments, but for now, just stay tuned and let's continue with the program. Now, moving on straight to other parts of Africa, a couple of other stories. Well, it said from 3.5% to 4%, the highest level in 14 years. 14 years. Okay, I will be taking you to let's see what is happening on that front, where the governor is delivering what is supposed to be the interest rate. The interest rate, which I've said that it's gone up now to 4%, 1.5% in terms of contraction. That's what the country is going to see. BOE raises interest rate for 10 times in a row. How is it impacting? How is it going to impact you? Well, as and when I have any information, any further information, I'll take you there for you to know exactly what happened, and I'll try to bring you a bit of the coverage from there. But stay tuned. Don't you go away. Don't you go away. 9 minutes past the top of the hour at the time. Now in Malawi, the anti-graft, the head of the Malawi's anti-corruption bureau, ACP, Martha Chizuma, has been suspended after a leaked piece of audio in which she can allegedly be heard discussing official matters with a person not employed by her office. My goodness. The comments that she allegedly made could prejudice the trial of people charged with corruption. The audio was leaked a year ago, and at the time President Lazarus Chakwera said that it was recorded and circulated in a bid to force him to sack her. Ms. Chizuma remained in the job with the president's backing and went ahead to indict several high-profile officials, including Vice President Solos Chilima and a cabinet minister, on various corruption-related charges. They have denied wrongdoings. On Wednesday, her suspension was announced by the secretary to the cabinet, Colin Zamba, but some legal experts have questioned the protocol used. President Chakwera's office has not commented on the suspension. This is all coming your way. Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's move on straight to some other stories making the rounds this morning in other parts of the world as well. But a quick one from Ghana. Let me bring you that one, and then we'll move on to other parts of the world. Now, the education minister has said, I am a fixer, not a talker. So what is he? What is he talking about there? The education minister, Dr. Yaos Osei Edichum, has reiterated his comments to improving the educational system in Ghana. According to him, his zeal to facilitate an improved sector during his tenure goes beyond mere rhetoric. Now, the minister has come under criticism recently for some public comments regarding Ghana's approach to educating its populace. But speaking in an exclusive interview, the educationist insisted that his speeches are only geared towards drawing attention to problems to create a sense of urgency among stakeholders. I think we create awareness by telling people so that there is a sense of urgency, and by the way, that is what is going on. He doesn't mean that you are just talking about it and you are just one of them, he said. However, Dr. Edichum said that it does not end there. He told the host of the program, he talks about the challenges that they are facing. He said, I should create a sense of urgency for all of us that something is not right. I need to fix it, but I'm a fixer, not a talker. So if something is not right, I will talk about it. But if they follow me, they will see that I'm doing something about what I'm talking about, he concluded. Well, this is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One other story from Ghana as well. Now, bodies of 10 civilians allegedly killed by soldiers have been released to families for burial. How and where did all this occur? Now, bodies of the 10 civilians allegedly murdered by men believed to be military in Boko have been released to their families for burial. Information coming through said that the decision was taken after a meeting between the security hierarchy, the traditional authority, and families on Wednesday night. The bodies have since been buried according to the Islamic principles, and the families eagerly waiting to hear from the Regional Security Council on how it intends to get justice for the deceased. Meanwhile, the Upper East Regional Security Council, which is yet to speak on the killings, is set to meet this afternoon to deliberate on the matter. It's all coming away from Star Radio UK. 13 minutes past the top of the hour, the morning show, the program. Well, the MPP's National Council is meeting to decide dates for flag bearer parliamentary primaries is a story making the round. The National Council of the New Patriotic Party is expected to meet today, February 2, to decide on timelines for flag bearer and parliamentary elections. Earlier, reports attributed to the council said that the party has set November 2023 to elect its presidential candidate and January 2024 to elect parliamentary candidates for constituencies with sitting MPP members of parliament, and April 2024 for constituencies without sitting MPs. But in a statement, the MPP said timelines for the internal polls were yet to be concluded. It added that at the National Council's last meeting, it was unable to finalize discussions on some proposed days for the conduct of the primaries. Consequently, the National Council resolved to defer a decision on the matter to allow for further stakeholder engagement in the interest of the party. Meanwhile, the meeting scheduled today will enable the National Council to take a definitive decision regarding the timelines for the conduct of the party's presidential and parliamentary primaries. It's all coming away from Star Radio UK, and it's your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, now let's move on straight to some other stories making the rounds this morning, and this time round from this part of the world. Well, Russian army officer has been confessing how their troops tortured Ukrainians. An allegation of brutal interrogation where Ukrainian men were shot and threatened with rape have been made by a former Russian military officer. Are they gay? Konstantin Yevgrafov, the senior officer, to speak openly in an interview on the BBC, an exclusive interview. Russia now sees him as a traitor and defector. At one site in southern Ukraine, he said the interrogations, the torture continued for about a week. Now, every day at night, sometimes twice a day. Mr. Yevgrafov tried to resign from the army numerous times, but he ended up being dismissed for refusing to return to Ukraine. He has now fled Russia. Now, using photographs and military documents supplied by Mr. Yevgrafov, the BBC has verified he was in Ukraine early in the year in the Zaporizhia region, including the city of Melitopol. Konstantin Yevgramov's face flickers into view on my computer screen, and we start to talk. He is a man with a story to tell. Until recently, he was a Russian army officer deployed to Ukraine last year. The former senior lieutenant has agreed to tell me about the crimes he says he witnessed there, including tortures and mistreatment of Ukrainian prisoners. He will talk about the comrades looting occupied areas of the Ukraine and describe the brutal interrogation session led by a Russian colonel in which men were shot and threatened with rape. It's all coming away from Star Radio UK. It's your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. But so, on the Ukrainian front with Russia, the war in Ukraine, the story says that Ukraine defense minister has said Russia is preparing a major new offensive and one that it could begin as soon as on the 24th of February. Now, Lesky Resnikov said Moscow has amassed thousands of troops and could try something to mark the anniversary of the initial invasion last year. The attack will also mark Russia's Defender of the Fatherland Day on the 23rd of February, which celebrates the army. Meanwhile, 3 people have died in an attack on the city of Kramatorsk. 8 others were wounded in the city of Donetsk region after Russian missiles struck a residential building, the provincial governor said. The toll is expected to rise as rescuers comb through the wreckage. The only way to stop Russian terrorism is to defeat it. Mrs. Zelensky wrote on the social media about the attack by tanks, fighter jets, long-range missiles. And that seems to be his request. Those are the things that he needs for him to go on the war. What do you think? It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, some breaking news coming through as well. Now, 2 MEPs have had their legal immunity lifted by European lawmakers following a request by Belgian authorities investigating a corruptional scandal that has rocked the European Parliament. Italian Andrea Cozzolino and Belgian Mark Tarabella deny wrongdoing. The Qatar affair unfolded when a Greek lawmaker and 3 other suspects were arrested on suspicion of corruption and money laundering. One of the suspects then agreed to tell all as part of a plea deal. Now, Pier Antonio Panzeri is alleged to have led a network that took bribes from Qatar and Morocco in return for influence in the European Parliament. Some 1.5 million euros was recovered in cash in a series of raids in Brussels and elsewhere. Now, both Qatar and Morocco have strenuously rejected allegations that they sought to gain influence over MEPs. However, prosecutors said Mr. Panzeri had admitted criminal responsibility. So if he's lying, why will he admit that? Or is it that he's going down and therefore want to take everyone with him? What do you think? Starr Radio UK. Now, interestingly, when it came to the bombing, the Pakistani mosque bombing last Monday, yes, if I'm right, the man who attacked a mosque in Pakistan city of Peshawar on Monday used a police uniform to gain access to the area. Now, police have said the suicide bomber reportedly entered through the main gates of the secure zone where the mosque is located. Now, police chief Mozam Jah Ansari said they had CCTV footage revealing the man's final movement and were closing in on the terror network responsible. He also confirmed a head found at the site was the attackers. Monday's blast was one of the deadliest attacks in Pakistan in years. Took place at a 50-year-old mosque in a high security police compound called Police Lines. At least 100 people were killed, of whom most were police officers. This all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One more story from the world front, and then we'll move on straight on to the UK. Now, US have secured deals on Philippines bases to complete arc around China. One of the stories making the rounds there. The story says the U.S. has secured access to 4 additional military bases in the Philippines, a key bit of real estate which will offer a front seat to monitor the Chinese in the South China Sea and around Taiwan. With a deal, Washington has stitched the gap in the arc of U.S. alliance stretching from South Korea and Japan in the north to Australia in the south. The missing link had been the Philippines, which borders 2 of the biggest potential flashpoints, Taiwan and the South China Sea. Now, the deal, which in part reverses the U.S. departure from their former colony more than 30 years ago, is no small matter. There is no contingency in the South China Sea that does not require access to the Philippines, says Gregory B. Pauling, director of the Southeast Asia program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. The U.S. is not looking for permanent bases. It's about places, not bases. The U.S. already had limited access to 5 sites under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA. The new additional and expanded access, according to a statement from Washington, will allow more rapid support for humanitarian and climate-related disasters in the Philippines and respond to other shared challenges like veiled references to countering China in the region. The statement came after U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin met Philippine President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. in Manila on Thursday. The U.S. hasn't said where the new bases are, but 3 of them could be on Luzon, an island on the northern edge of the Philippines, the only large piece of land close to Taiwan, if they don't count China. All right then. So it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Let's now come to the UK front and let me bring you what is happening here. Now, as I did say, the Bank of England has put interest rates up to 4%. The Bank of England raised its base rate from 3.5% to 4%, the highest in 14 years. It also says the UK is set to enter recession this year, but this will be shorter than previously thought. The Bank of England expects economy to fall slightly in 2023 as energy costs and other prices continue to ease. It also forecasts that the inflation rate will continue to slow this year and firms are likely to hold off on making redundancies. A higher interest rate will be welcomed by savers, but have a knock-on effect for those who with mortgages, credit card debts, and bank loans. The 4% rise means people with a typical tracker mortgage will pay about £49 more a month, while those on variable mortgages will pay another £31 a month. Okay. Now, the increase in the bank rate from 3.5 means that those on the tracker mortgage will pay £49 more a month. Those on standard variable rates mortgages will face £31 jump. This comes on top of increase following the previous recent rate rise. Now, compared with pre-December 2021, average tracker mortgages customer will be paying about $382 more a month, and variable mortgage holders about $240 more. Now, how is that impacting your disposable income? Now, commenting on the rate of price rises, the bank predicts inflation will fall back to 8% in June before dropping further to 3% by the end of the year. However, it has also warned that the rate of wage rises risks a slow fall in inflation. Financial markets widely expect interest rates to peak at 4.5% this year to help drive down inflation. The bank had previously said that it would act forcefully to control rising prices, but in its latest report, the bank softened its language. If there were to be evidence of more persistent pressures, then further tightening in monetary policy will be required. In reaction to that, the Chancellor has given his reaction to the news that the Bank of England has hiked interest rates up to 4%, a decision that could impact on your day-to-day finances. Inflation is a still tax that is the biggest threat to living standards in generation. So we support the bank's action today so we succeed in halving inflation this year, Jeremy Hunt said. His statement adds, we will play our part by making sure government decisions are in lockstep with the bank's approach, including by resisting the urge right now to fund additional spending or tax cuts through borrowing, which will only add fuel to the inflation fire and prolong the pain for everyone. But how are we going to navigate this pain at this moment? That is a question on the lips of more people. But well, this is Starr Radio UK, and this is where I bring the program to a close for today. Tomorrow, God willing, we're going to be coming your way with another edition of the morning show. But for now, let me bring you this song. Maybe that will console you a bit. And it says, no woman, no cry. And it's from Ash Enjoy it, and I see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Here, little darling, don't shed no tears. No woman, no cry. Said I remember when we used to sit in the government yard and trenched out about observing the hypocrites mingle with the good people we meet. Good friends we have and good friends we've lost along the way. In this great future, you can't forget your past. So dry your tears, I said. No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Here, little darling, don't shed no tears. No woman, no cry. Said I remember when we used to sit in the government yard and trenched out. And then Georgie would make the fire light as it was. Logwood burning through the night. Then we would cook cornmeal porridge, of which I'll share with you. And my feet is my only carriage, and I've got to push on through. When I'm gone, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright now. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright now. Everything's gonna be alright.
This is Starr Radio UK.
No woman, no cry.